Welcome to the Wise Take DFS Podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And for the first time ever, we are doing the four-man Brady Bunch style. As you can see, we got the grid going. We got my man, Patio Joe. He obviously covers all of our cash game information. Also, small field GPPs. He is the creator of Straight Cash Homie for both the baseball and NFL DFS articles. And then, of course, we got my man Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie DD. That's 8 Ds, which is why we call him Paulie 8 Ds. Paulie writes up palm trees and GPPs. NFL article. He's down in Florida for DraftKings. And then, of course, last but not least, we got our boy Slim Gaede making his first NFL pod appearance. You can find him on Twitter at Real Slim Gaede, Gaede. And Gaede, not only does he write the Exit Velocity, very popular Fast and the Furious free article that we offer, but he also writes a little narrative article, V for Vendetta. He's definitely a big movie buff, as you could tell. Start off with you, Patio Joe. How we doing tonight, brother?
We're doing well. Getting ready to talk about week 3 already. Can't believe it's already week 3. It's like goes by so fast. We're almost getting in October. And, one other thing. Not only do, like I said, I write the cash article, but inside the cash article, don't forget, there's always a section that I like to call Champagne Room with Audie. All right? Because that's when you win the GPPs. You get to go to the Champagne Room that night. All right? So that's what. Make sure you check it. That's my little GPP section.
Yes, sir. Paulie D, how you doing down in Florida, brother?
Doing all right, man. Making some money in baseball tonight. First time in a while. Finally got power going, and life's starting to start back around here. It's crazy. Like, a lot of people still don't have power. Like, very, very close to me. A lot of businesses are just starting to open. It's been weird down here, but we're hanging in. Hopefully no more storms. And pumped about football. Pumped that the nation made money in the first 2 weeks. Not many people did. And we're looking to go 3 for 3.
Hey, man. I'm definitely with it. I'm definitely with that plan. Slim Gaede, man, you look as happy as ever, man. Every time I look at you, you're just smiling away, my brother. What's going on? How you doing tonight, man?
I'm pumped, dude. I'm ready for this week. The first 2 weeks have been kind of weird, but I think we're starting to figure things out. I mean, we got it figured out, but the industry's behind, so I'm ready to keep on top of them. A lot of good stuff to talk about, so I'm excited. I'm excited for football podcast for the first time, though.
Yeah,
I'm trying to bring my own football into the baseball stuff, but I don't know if that worked too well. So.
No, man, it's definitely nice to have you on an NFL show. We got the four-man thing going, and I know schedule-wise, we've had a rough time getting you on the baseball pod, but the world needs more Gaede in their lives. So it's in our. Have the Stanton questions kind of slowed down now that you haven't been on as many podcasts, bro? I've never seen a jinx worse. I can't believe the only man I've ever met in my life who's probably played Stanton, and as much as you have, but never got a home run with him. That is incredible.
The whole month of August, man.
Oh my gosh.
When he's hot.
That's incredible, guys. So real quick, Joe, just a quick overview. So obviously we want to keep the podcast within a reasonable length. So we're not going to go game by game. We're not going to sit here and ask you guys, tell me who you like. It's early anyway. It's only Wednesday night. So just give me a quick, like maybe some of your expectations, maybe some of the surprises that you're walking away from week 2 with, and that now maybe you have an eye on towards week 3. Is there anything at all, like from a general scope?
I mean, it's just been, the fact is I think you got to find that defense with the running backs that seem to hit, because I feel like in the first couple weeks, those chalk running backs have not been hitting. DJ Bell, I mean, last week they didn't do very well. And, you got guys like, Kareem Hunt and, some of the other guys. It's like Trevor Siemian is like the leader in all the points right now. And Devontae Freeman, Ajayi, I just feel like the chalk hasn't hit as at least the high-end chalk for running back. So having to get that, some of those good plays at running back, and then the defense, nailing the defense the first 2 weeks has been the reason why I've been in the plus for football so far, because I placed in those two GPPs because the first week I think I had the Rams defense, and the second week I had the Bucks defense. So defense is really, really important in DFS.
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely. Paulie, what about you, man? What's your general overview, expectations, surprises, anything like that?
I think there's like a changing of the guard happening in the NFL. Some of like our perennials, chalk players have either gotten hurt or are, haven't performed well. And, some of the traditional names like Breeze, Julio Jones, I don't know, Des Bryant, like Ezekiel Elliott doesn't look right, and you really have to, acknowledge what is happening this year and go off of what you're seeing, not of what's happened in the past. Because, football changes very fast. And, it looks like this year especially we're going to have a lot of teams that we thought were good are not going to be, and a lot of teams that we think aren't that may be, especially in terms of like DFS. There's a couple games this weekend, where you probably won't expect to look for players, but there might be a lot of diamonds in the rough in those type of games. And it's interesting, like, we have a very similar week this week with two games that are, like, mega outliers. But because it's not the Falcons and the Saints and the Patriots, no one's really talking about it. But we have, like, 8-9 games, like, with 40 over-unders and then, like, 2 or 3 above. So it's like we're probably going to have a similar type of week with a lot of the ownership drifting towards those 3 games. And, just because the team doesn't have like a high over-under doesn't mean that guys can't perform in terms of fantasy. So I think there's definitely similar opportunity this week to stay ahead of the curve and win some money. So I'm liking this season a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Slim, what about you, my man?
Yeah, I'm really there with Joe on a lot of the running backs. It's mid-tier running backs outperforming top-tier running backs. And, of course, now those mid-tier guys are moving up towards the top. So now we have a lot more to think about. I think it's not easy like it was last year. It's just like play Bell and DJ every week and figure out the rest. Well, it's not like that anymore. And then with the defenses, that used to just kind of be like, okay, I'm just going to throw a defense in with whatever money I have left over. Well, you really got to think about it now. Like week 1, my lineup was crap, man. Terrible. But I had the Rams defense, and that's the only reason I cashed. So I'm looking at defense like 2 or 3 that I like, and I'm going to find a way to get one of those defenses in my lineup no matter what in my cash games. Also, quarterback position has been kind of weird in terms of how I'm playing, because I'm usually one of those guys that wants to pay down at quarterback. And last week, we got Rodgers, we got Ryan, we got Brady. And it was like the very first thing I do when I look Tuesday morning, I look at the slate and it's like, dude, Brady against the Saints, play him. And that turned out to be a pretty good play. So I feel like I need to get a quarterback that I know can get me some points instead of necessarily paying down every week and trying to, catch a guy that's going to be hot. So it's just a little bit of a strategy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Paulie and Joe just the other day about how I feel like don't get me wrong, as Paulie was saying, a lot of us did well week 2. I did well too. I had no complaints. But I didn't have any exposure to Brady. I actually didn't play Tom Brady. And that was simply me overthinking it. And I think when you consider the fact that he was only, 13% in a lot of FanDuel tournaments, I think a lot of people overthought it. And so, that's kind of one of the things I'm kind of taking away is that, how do you not play? I asked myself that question. How did I not play Brady against the Saints? That's obviously number one. He's the obvious play. And it's it would be like if those situations, those rare situations where we would see Kershaw go completely under-owned just because everybody was overthinking the field and then he'd go off. It's the same exact scenario just happened in football. So that was kind of my takeaway. I don't want to overthink things. Play the guys with a lot of opportunities. Play the guys in the right matchups, right? So I'm excited here to talk, man. So we're going to go position by position, and I'm just going to bring up a few players. I'm just going to bounce a few players off you guys. We'll go one by one. I just want your opinions, your takes. Feel free to debate and all that stuff. Just make sure everybody gets their piece in. But yeah, man, let's jump right in. The first guy we're going to talk about is, of course, the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. Looks like he's 9-4 on FanDuel. I'm not sure what his price is on DraftKings, but he's at home against Houston. Pretty good defense. Coming off a game where everybody, again, missed the boat not playing him, and they paid for it. So, Joe, we're going to start with you, man. What's your take on Tom Brady this week?
I would say I would like him and just lock him in, but I'm leaning towards game script just not being there to where Brady is going to have the ceiling, at least in a GPP, to where I would want him. I think there's other quarterbacks in that tier that we might talk about later on in the week where I feel like they have a higher ceiling because I just think that they're going to get up early and they're not going to have to get in a shootout with this Houston ball club. They're going to be able to score whenever they want. And even if they have a little trouble moving the ball, they're going to win 24-0 or 24-3. I don't think Watson's going to go into New England and beat them. So I think I'm kind of off of Brady, at least right now.
Yeah, okay. I think that makes a lot of sense. Paulie, what's your take on Tom?
Yeah, I agree. Last year, these teams played. New England shut them out like 20-0. Houston's defense is one that I respect. I think Bill Belichick respects Houston's coach. I don't think he's a guy that he would run the score up on if they did control this game. And although I don't think that too many touchdowns will get vultured, I think we're going to see like a 24-10, 28-10 kind of score. And I don't think Brady's going to need, the 400 and change yards. And, if there's one running touchdown or a defensive touchdown, that kind of takes down his ceiling, like Joe said. So, on FanDuel, he's the most expensive. On DraftKings, he's definitely up there. I don't think you're going to get enough point per dollar to play Brady this week.
I don't think he can get to 30. I really don't. Well, with four touchdown pass, 4-point touchdown passes at 9-4, he needs to get you at least to 30 to make it worth your while, I think.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the Patriots defense than anything else.
Okay. No, I'm with it. Slim, what you got?
Yeah, when I first look at it, I see the Patriots top of the list for implied points. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm all over Brady. But when you look at it, it's like, I just wish they were playing somebody that could score. They're 13-point favorites or something like that. I mean, they got guys banged up. It looks like Amendola and Gronk are going to play. We don't know about Hogan, but I could see them, just getting up early, getting up 21-0 in the second quarter, and then just running it out. But I think that's a great call from Paulie about Belichick respecting O'Brien, because I completely agree with that. He's not going to run it up on him, especially when they got some guys injured. Like I said, they're just going to come out the gate on him and then probably just run it out and be a boring second half. So, yeah, I agree with his price. It's going to be tough to play him unless you just have the money. I mean, with your roster construction and you just want to take the 20 points or whatever you think he's going to get.
Yeah, like cash game, I guess he'd be all right if you had the money, but not in tournaments.
Yeah, I know. I'm 100% with you guys. There's really nothing to debate here. I think you guys hit it right on the head. It's the game script, as Joe said. And like you said, Paul, I think it was you, Paulie, who said, I have a lot of interest actually in the Patriots defense when we're talking about it, just because, how are they going to score? They're not going to keep up. Their offense is absolutely terrible, and now they're going on the road. I don't expect any improvement, really. And I think we're all pretty much on the same boat with Brady. It's just there's no need at his price, especially. There's just no need to go up there. Next guy I want to talk to you about, I'm not sure if we'll have any different opinions on this guy, but it's Matt Ryan. I want to talk about Matt Ryan. He's going into Detroit. They're going to be playing in the Dome. I know that it's a highly anticipated matchup, a very high total. I'm sure that a lot of DFS players around the world are around the country are looking at this game and just kind of drooling a little bit with the thought of some of these plays here. But let's start off with just Matt Ryan. Patio Joe, what you got?
Well, yeah, if you're looking at game script wise, I think that this game could shoot out. And I think if you're going to pay up in the top tier quarterbacks, Ryan is probably my guy. The other, I think, Rodgers is right in the middle of that. And I just think that Rodgers it's almost going to be like Brady. I think they might get up, or it's just going to be like kind of an ugly game with Cincinnati. I don't think it's going to be a shootout, at least right now. I think with Ryan, though, I could see them getting down because they're on the road and then having to come back and throw a lot. I don't think that they're going to get ahead to where they're going to just run the ball either. And I also think that this Detroit defense is a little bit better than we thought. So, don't just be expecting a huge day out of Ryan. Darius Slay, is right now the top-rated cornerback in the first 2 weeks of the season. So think about that. But yeah, I like Ryan on Sunday.
Okay. Paulie D, what you got here, Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I won't be on him. It looks like the Falcons are determined to run too much. I think the Lions are tough. They kind of held the Giants down, although it's not a fair comparison to the Falcons. But, they held Arizona in check the first week, and I think their defense is better than people think. The Falcons, I just with Devontae Freeman and Coleman, I just don't see a scenario where we get like a 5-touchdown game from Ryan. I think they're determined to run the ball, and if they do happen to get a lead, then they'll run it even more. So he's fine in my opinion, but if I was to play him, I'd want to stack Julio and with Darius Slay. I'm not going to do that, so I'm off of him as well.
Okay, I'm with it. Slim Gaede, what you got here, man?
Yeah, again, I like the game itself because it could get pretty crazy. I like, the 3-point spread. But the first 2 weeks, I've looked a lot at the Falcons, and I feel like I believe in them. I feel like they're going to score some points, but, where's it coming from? Where's the blow-up coming from? I mean, who's going off for them? I mean, they're spreading the ball around too much, and they're not throwing it as much as they should. They're not throwing the ball downfield like they have in the past. It's something that I've been kind of taking a wait-and-see approach with Sarkisian running the offense now. So, I mean, he's probably fine like Brady. You could put him in for a cash game, and he's going to be okay. He's got a good floor, but at this point, I don't really see the ceiling there.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing. Right now, they do have Darius Slay going on Taylor Gabriel and Nate Lawson taking on Julio Jones. It's what I'm looking at right now. So I don't know if he's gonna shadow or not. But that would I think that would help Ryan if he doesn't shadow. So
for sure.
Yeah. No. Listen. I respect the Atlanta offense, and I respect Matt Ryan. I definitely think he's talented, but this Detroit defense is showing us a little something early. They held. It wasn't just like okay, yeah, Carson Palmer sucks. I learned that the hard way this past week, but David Johnson does not suck, man. And before he got hurt, number one, they hurt him, and number two, they were holding him down, man. He couldn't do shit, and that's a very talented back. So I think for me, man, like especially after watching how unsuccessful Atlanta was on the road in Chicago week 1. Like week 1, you're supposed to be the most prepared. It's week 1. You've had all offseason pretty much to prepare for this one game. And they did not look very good on the road. So I think I am off of Matt Ryan as well. All right, here's a guy I want to talk to you about also. I want to talk to you about Cam Newton. So Cam Newton gets a matchup at home against the New Orleans Saints, the 0-2 New Orleans Saints. Cam Newton, I think, is questionable with an ankle, but I expect him to play. Now it's his ankle. We know he's got a bump shoulder. We haven't been as impressed. They've been winning fairly easily, but it seems like they've kind of been coasting on the strength of their defense a little bit here. Patio Joe, what are your thoughts of Cam Newton this week?
He's a GPP option for me strictly because New Orleans defense is terrible. And I think it's basically if Cam doesn't do it this week, the Panthers are really going to be in trouble. He can't do it at home against this poor Saints defense that just has been lit up the first 2 weeks of the season against Sam Bradford. And Tom Brady, of course, but Sam Bradford lit them up. Now they got to go to a Carolina division game. He should light them up with or without Greg Olsen. It shouldn't matter. So, but to me, he hasn't shown it himself, so that's what makes him more of a GPP option for me. Okay.
Paulie, you're a GPP guy. What do you think?
I think you got to give Cam a shot here at home. He's had who have they played? They played
Buffalo and San Francisco.
Buffalo and San Francisco, 2 decent defenses. They're coming home. We've seen just the Saints defense get totally abused by the Vikings and the Patriots. And if there's ever a spot for him to do well, it's this week. I like him with Christian McCaffrey or Kelvin Benjamin. Their defense has looked really good. They've only given up like a total of 6 points. so they should be in control. And we've seen Cam Newton run the ball a lot this year, actually, so that's a positive as well. You know how important rushing points and touchdowns are in DFS. So I think Cam Newton's definitely worth a shot in tournaments, as Joe said. Maybe not so much a cash play, but he's definitely one of my top targets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gaede, what's your take on Cam, bro?
Yeah, tournaments only for me. I mean, honestly, before I even saw today where they're talking about ankle and shoulder and all that, I wasn't really on him at all. I don't believe in him right now. I think he should have dominated San Francisco and Buffalo at home and really didn't do anything. So I was actually watching some stuff on Sports Center. They got guys on there talking about how inaccurate Cam Newton is, and they're showing all these highlights, and it's like, oh, man. No thanks. I don't know if it's the shoulder that's bothering him, because we've seen him play a lot better than this, but I could see him, trying to maybe getting up early and then just riding the two running backs on this one. But I'm just not really on him. I could see him as a tournament, though, for sure. There's definite potential with this defense they're going against, but yeah, tournaments only for sure.
Tournament potential. You heard it yourself. From
Potential.
Some potential. Yeah, I think for me, like, Cam Newton's a big question mark for me. And the question mark is my issue. The reason I love Cam Newton is because he's got rushing touchdown upside, right? The problem is he seems pretty banged up. His shoulder, his ankle, so they're not really letting him run on a match. Even if they were, I don't think he's ready.
12 rushes. It's like second of all quarterbacks.
So there you go. If we think he's going to be okay to do it himself if he has to, then you got to love Cam Newton's upside. Remember, rushing touchdowns are obviously worth more than passing touchdowns. So I definitely agree that he's your GPP option because he has a high ceiling just alone there. So my thing is, you can take Cam alone, that's no problem. But I feel like for me, if I'm going to play Cam in a GPP, I want a receiver from the other side. I want somebody from that Saints team because I'm thinking if Cam's going to have a big game, then that means somebody from that Saints game is going off because they're 0-2 and they got their backs against the wall. And they have to start winning. So that's kind of my take. It's like either I'd have no – as far as the receiver, Olsen, Benjamin, you can if you want to pick one, fine.
No, Olsen's gone, so that's another thing.
Like
his
targets. Sure?
How about Funches?
Funches is out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Funches definitely –
Funches is the guy that's been getting the love the first few weeks.
Yep.
He's been getting the targets.
Definitely interesting when we get to receiver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We even have somebody in this game to talk about then right up Gaede's alley. But anyway. But yeah.
What about the return of Teddy Ginn on the other side?
That's exactly where I was going to. Yeah, that's exactly what I was hinting to. Ted Ginn on the other side.
Narrative Street.
We got Narrative Street. That's you, Gaede.
That's all. You guys got to start sending me that stuff. You got to send it to me.
It's all good. It's not published. You can go in there and slide in there and fix it if you want. It's all good.
It just dawned on me.
All right. There's one more guy I'm going to ask about. We could talk about quarterbacks. We could spend an entire show talking about quarterbacks, especially this week. We got. I'm going to mention that we have Derek Carr, we have Kirk Cousins. Like that's obviously a potential shootout, but the guy I want to ask you guys about, and it's mainly a price thing. It's Andy Dalton. So I before the show I'd mentioned that this is somebody I wanted to talk about, and the reason is on FanDuel his price is ridiculously low. He's been terrible. AJ Green is only 7,500 on FanDuel. He's been terrible. Obviously, he's been terrible because Andy Dalton's been terrible. But keep in mind, they did play week 1. They had the Ravens, a team that's familiar with their offense, also a team with a very good defense. And then 4 days later, I think, what was it, 4 days to Thursday? They played on Thursday night against the Houston Texans, another pretty good defense. So I want to know, is Andy Dalton to you, is he in play? And not just that, but like, do you think this guy's cool? Do you think he's fine? Or do you think there's something seriously wrong with Andy Dalton and his whole psyche? Patio Joe, start us off.
I can see game script going in Andy Dalton's favor. He's he's probably like the Blake Bortles of this week. Like it could be bad before it's good. So, you might have to sit through 3 quarters of shit. And then you'll have the fourth quarter where he'll throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns and make it a game. So, I mean, yeah, price-wise, matchup-wise, I think his upside is there. He could throw 3 or 4 touchdowns on Sunday. He just hasn't shown it. And, the spotlight's on him now. People are starting to watch him, and he doesn't play good when people are really paying attention to him. I don't care if it's a primetime game or if he's been playing like shit. So it's hard to play sometimes in Lambeau, and if he has a bad first quarter, it could be really bad. But I mean, I see the reasoning. I probably wouldn't go there. Maybe in a deep GPP.
Okay. Paulie D, what's your take on Dalton?
Right now I'm really on him just because of price. The fact that you could stack him with AJ Green, who should have no trouble with the Packers secondary. If you look at Vegas, some real smart money's coming in on Cincy. They've had the strongest line movement with 78% of the public bets coming in on Green Bay. They've come in from 10 to 8.5. So that interests me. And, at these prices, he doesn't have to even do that much to pay off. I expect game script to be in his favor. For him to kind of be forced into passing his way back into this game. And the Packers defense is, nothing to be scared of. They kind of go into like a funnel prevent situation. And, I think this is a great bounce back spot for him. AJ Green should have a big day here, maybe even another receiver on the Bengals we could look at. But for his price, for the game script, I definitely think he's in play. I mean, on DraftKings, he's only like 5,100 or so. So he's definitely a guy you got to look at. Like, he's a veteran. He's thrown over 30 passes the first two games. They've lost them both. It's a game they really need. It's going to be hard for them to win. I think he's definitely in play this week.
Gotcha. Gaede, Andy Dalton.
So we talk about game script a lot here. So I'm going to refer to my own game script, which, CK, you've hit on it, is not overthinking things. So I'm going to make it really simple. No, he's shit. I'm not playing him. Simple. I mean, get out of here. If he was free, I'm playing him.
Wow.
I think he's got to be considered, man. I do. I think he's got to be at that discount. And listen, I believe there could seriously be something wrong with Dalton. I've heard some nasty stuff a couple weeks about, like, stuff you don't want to hear about a mutiny kind of thing where, like, some of the players are starting to lean towards it. Listen, I'm a Jet fan, bro. I've watched this happen. Yes, Kaepernick, that's the one. I've watched this happen to teams.
My Niners shirts out.
When a quarterback starts to lose his team, it could be trouble. And I'm trying to give him the benefit of a doubt because of the fact that we know he usually just sucks in the playoffs. That's usually where he sucks. It's rare that he just comes out the gate sucking. And, like, now he's really cheap. And, like, think about it. He did have a tough matchup week 1. He had a tough matchup week 2 on short rest. And so now he gets one of the worst secondaries in the league. Although, I'll admit, they haven't gotten torched as bad. I think it's because they've been getting torched on the ground so bad. They haven't really gotten torched through the air so bad yet. But it's the Packers. I'm not expecting a good secondary. I'm expecting a good quarterback to slice them up. So I think he's got to be considered. I mean, I would agree that cash games concern me. I can see people thinking maybe to go with him and Green in cash games just because of their price. I can see people trying to, hey, let me just save there. Then I could pay up for all the running backs I want. I could pay up for maybe Julio or something like that because that stack was cheap. So I think he just has to be considered. Like, I know he's looked bad, man. I'm not a Dalton guy. I'm really not. I very rarely play him. But I don't know, man. I don't think we can completely ignore him at that price.
Remember one thing. Another thing that's bad about the Bengals right now, their offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have time. And I don't care who you are. If you don't give the quarterback time, they are not a good quarterback.
Russell Wilson week 1 at Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bad line.
See the same thing happening. That's a great call.
If you stack up Dalton, AJ Green, and Devontae Adams with a defense, you have about 5,800 left per player. That's pretty good. It's definitely something worth looking at. There's definite chance for this game to shoot out, though. You can't just dismiss it. It's definitely something.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like AJ Green more than I like Dalton.
I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Yeah. Dalton's been a little more turnover prone lately, so I can certainly understand. But but even so, I feel like between the two of those guys. All right, let's move it over to running backs. Like I said, we could talk about all these guys. Mariota, Carr, and Cousins are a hot topic, but let's go ahead and move on to some of these running backs because we got some stuff to talk about. First guy, very obvious, Le'Veon Bell. We got to talk about him. He's looks like he's down to 8.8 on DraftKings and on FanDuel. He is 8.7. His price is coming down. It seemed like his usage was kind of there a little bit more last week. He just wasn't really getting it done. Patio Joe, what are your thoughts on Le'Veon Bell?
I don't know. If I'm paying up for one running back this week, I don't think it's going to be Le'Veon Bell. Maybe not in cash. And I think that's good because people love him in GPP. I can't really see Paulie right now, but I'm sure he's smiling a little bit, saying that I think I'm off of Bell. So I think I just want to – I want to see it. I still have not seen it. So I think, they're on the road again. And I want to see him be the old Le'Veon Bell first. Until then, he's a GPP option for me.
Okay. Paulie D, my man, what you got here?
I think it's a must play. Last week against Minnesota, that's a tough defense. He still got the touches, 27 carries. That was like the main concern coming off of week 1, but 27 carries, a handful of targets. He's going to get the usage. And this Bears team is awful. Game script could be in his favor. They could be leading, and he could just get the ball a lot in the fourth quarter. And, this is not the same defense as the Vikings. I expect him to do whatever he wants. And I think he bounces back in a big way. I love Le'Veon Bell this week.
Okay. Gaede, I want to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, I mean, you just throw out the first game. So, and Paulie's absolutely right on this, that Minnesota's defense is really good. And you talk about that first game. I don't even remember how many touches he had, but he had 31 touches last week. I mean, They're going back to feeding him the ball. It's just he was playing against a really good defense. Yep. Yeah, he hasn't shown it yet, but, I mean, we're talking about the Bears here. So, I mean, I have some belief in my boy Vic Fangio over there that the Bears defense, they can focus on somebody maybe and try to shut that one guy down a little bit, but – yeah, I like Bell a lot. I don't know if I can play him in cash yet. And I don't think anybody else is, he's not going to be chalky. So if you don't play him and he goes off, you're still going to be okay. But, I mean, at that price, we got to really start looking at him because he's getting the touches, man. 31 touches, you'll take that anytime.
Yeah, he's getting the touches. He's going to get it going anyway. Any concern? So I know, Paulie, you like Bell, and I'm a guy that when I see a guy's price drop that significantly, he's going to catch my attention, which is one of the reasons I brought up Dalton. So he's another guy. Obviously, he's like all of a sudden he's affordable now, especially if you play Dalton the Green. Now you can fit Le'Veon Bell fairly comfortably in there, and that's the thing. We saw Chicago really shut down Matt Ryan, and I guess that's kind of like that's kind of the test, right? Things are going to go one of two ways. Either Matt Ryan's going to dominate, or the Atlanta offense is going to dominate in Detroit, and we're going to find out that Chicago is just really good defense, or we're going to see Atlanta struggle on the road, realize maybe Chicago's not as good, and then we should probably see the Le'Veon Bell do work. So, it's in my opinion that those are kind of the two things. So it sounds to me like Paulie, what's your thought? Do you just really have confidence in Lev Bell and his usage, or is it more that you don't think the Chicago defense is all that good? And we know Ben has the home and road split, so he typically leans on Bell a little bit more on the road. What are your thoughts?
It's both. Like, the guy's the most talented running back in the league. He needed a couple games to get into shape, but when they're giving him that much touches, that means he's ready. And I expect him to get it again. The game script should be in his favor. I don't think you can fade him. He's just too good against a bad defense. Bears have given up rushing touchdowns in both games this year. Hasn't been a ton of yards, but I can't get off that guy. I think he's going to do fine and be the Lev of old.
Well, Joe, here's my question for you, Joe. If this was David Johnson in the same matchup, and just say this was week 2, and we saw his first matchup, he didn't look so good against in week 1. So say that was David Johnson, and because he's a little bit more consistent, say he's $9K, which is for him would still be cheap, right? $9K for David for DJ is pretty damn good. What would be your thoughts in this exact situation?
Of playing Bell in cash?
No. I'm saying put David Johnson in Bell's situation. Add $300. David Johnson's been struggling, let's say, through 2 weeks. Would you play Bell against Chicago? I mean, I'm sorry. Would you play DJ?
I mean, okay, so last week on the road, Jacrizz Rodgers didn't light up the world, did he?
Does he ever, though?
I mean, I'm just saying, he had a couple weeks last year where he actually did pretty damn good, to be honest with you.
He rushed for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they put in Peyton Barber at some point. I just look at the other options around him, and I'm just like, for cash, I don't know. I mean, I might go there, and I'm not saying like it just, to me, I feel like there's just safer options around that price point. You know, he hasn't. Yeah, I realize that his first 2 games might have been his preseason, but let's just see what he does first, because yeah, you're right. He could blow up, and we could be all wrong. I'm just saying, when I look at it, he's more of a GPP option for me. Of course, by me saying that, I'm saying he can blow up. He can totally go for it. I mean, even last week, as the week went on, I went from going from, paying up for the 2 best running backs. And the only reason why we were off Bell is because we said that the game script was off, So
yeah, because Bradford was out.
Because Bradford was out. So it's not like I wasn't on Bell last week. And I'm not saying this. I look at other options. I just feel like I have a better read on what might happen in that game, in those games right now, at least.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to the next guy real quick. I'm curious to hear your guys' take on this one. Kareem Hunt, he's priced up, and I find it a little strange considering his snap count. He's got his snap counts on one of the lower ends, and this dude is now 8,300 because, hey, he's one of those guys we saw with like Tyreek Hill last year, right? It didn't matter how many touches he was getting; he was finding ways to score. Taylor Gabriel, same kind of scenario, except Kareem Hunt's a running back. Joe, what are your thoughts on Kareem Hunt?
Well, I mean, obviously, we all know that I like Kareem Hunt. I have him in 3 of my 5 seasonal teams. I drafted him high. The thing about it is that last week, he has 4 touchdowns now, or 5 touchdowns. So he's the number 1 player in fantasy. So people are going to want to play him. But I think that the Chargers can shut him down. But Ajayi ran all over them last week, so I don't see why they wouldn't, with their offense, that they wouldn't do somewhat of the same this week. The Chargers defense looked okay, but they didn't impress me like I thought they would. And so, yeah, I think he's in play. He's still not one of my favorites in that tier. So,
okay.
I think he's good to play again, and I probably will have some share of him, but nothing. I won't be overweight on him.
Gotcha. Paulie D, what are you doing with Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if he was still like 6,500, I'd be all over that. But at 8K, it's tough because he's not getting the usage. And, this is going to be a tough game. Kansas City could be playing from behind. I think we'll see a similar game to the Chargers-Miami game with lower scores. And without, all that touchdown upside, I don't know if he's worth the 8K. So, I'm lukewarm at best. I could see, 5%, throwing him on one GPP team, but otherwise, I'm really not into him.
He's better on DK. He's averaging 4 catches a game so far. So I think on DK that's a little bit better. So if he could do that, if he could at least get 4 catches on top of whatever rushing attempts, he has 30 attempts. So that's almost 20 touches. And if he gets you 2 touchdowns on 20 touches, I'd be okay with that. That's why I think he's a little bit better on DK than he is on FanDuel.
Gotcha.
For me, it's I'm just gonna find the extra money for Le'Veon at that point.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Le'Veon definitely has a higher ceiling for sure. We all know that. Let's not be fooled.
All right, Gaede, what do you got on Kareem Hunt here, man?
Well, I got a lot, so stay with me on this one. That last point that was made, Paul, you say you're just going to pay up for Le'Veon, and at these prices, I think you almost have to do that. I mean, Bell had 31 touches to Hunt's 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference, and you're talking about the same price, and we're also talking about Bell, a guy we know what we're going to get. Now, I watched the entire Chiefs game. I'm trying to get a read on this guy, and I'm thinking, okay, I know his price is going to be jacked next week.
Mm-hmm.
And he only had 17 touches. He gets one of those touchdowns on a goal line, which any back in the league can score a 1-yard touchdown. And then the 50-yard touchdown he had is impressive. But if not for that one play,
it's still fluky.
Yeah, he did
no matter what
the entire game. Right. It's stuff you can't predict. I mean, he's an explosive back. I mean, he's a good player. But priced up with Le'Veon Bell and these guys, it's hard for me to play him now. I mean, I'm looking at snap counts. I got it right in front of me. Ajayi plays 94% of the snaps last week. Elliott 89%, Bell 89%, and Kareem Hunt is under 70%.
Yeah.
So it's just hard when I'm pretty sure he's not going to get the touches that those guys are getting, and they're the same price. So like last week I played him because he wasn't the same price. And I figure he's going to be chalk at that price. So he's not going to be the chalk anymore for cash games. So I don't think you need to play him. I think he's a good play, and he'll probably continue to be a good play every week, probably except when they play Denver. But it's not somebody that you need to play in your cash games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you. Speaking of Denver, the next guy I actually wanted to talk to you about was Shady McCoy. He's at home against Denver. Last year, Denver had a terrible run defense. That was the way to attack them, right? You couldn't throw against them. You ran it down their throat. We just saw Ezekiel Elliott go into Denver and get shut down. One of those guys that got a ton of opportunities, similar to Bell, who just struggled. There have been reports that he is out of shape. And also, if he is out of shape, he just had to go into the altitude, which I'm sure didn't help. So the question is, was Zeke bad, or has this Denver defense actually gotten better at stopping the run? And we're going to find out against Shady McCoy because the game is not in Denver. There's no altitude in play. The game's in Buffalo. Joe, what are your thoughts on Shady?
I love McCoy this week. I'm not buying if that game also had like a 2-hour lightning delay too. And the Dallas players, you could tell they just gave up. They weren't playing at all. And I just think that they had a terrible game. Zeke gave up. And the game script was so bad to where they couldn't even try and run the ball. So they're going to go into Buffalo. If Buffalo wants to win this game, they're not going to get in a shootout. Tyrod Taylor ain't going to be throwing 3 or 4 or 5 touchdowns. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to keep the ball away from Denver. So, and on the same, this is Denver's first time away from home. I don't care what anybody says. First time away on the NFL. They had their first 2 games. Everybody's sucking Trevor Simeon's dick. Are you kidding me, dude? Go on the road and do something on the road, all right? You play your first 2 games at home. You should win your first 2 games at home, all right? Don't be telling all of a sudden they're number 1 in the power rankings. Give me a fucking break. The fucking Chiefs went into New England and beat the Patriots, but Denver wins their first 2 games at home and they're number 1 in the power rankings. Are you fucking kidding me? They could fucking lose this week. Piece of shit NFL ring. That's such That's how I feel about McCoy.
Okay.
All right. End the show there.
Paulie, what do you think about McCoy, man? That's a tough act to follow right there.
No, that was awesome. I like McCoy too. Just for like the tournament perspective that nobody's gonna go on him. Everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid, and I think Ezekiel was out of shape, and in the altitude, this is a totally different situation. And Buffalo, they're gonna give the ball to McCoy 20, 30 times. He could break a run against anybody. He's going to get the goal line love for the most part. I'm on him. I don't love paying up. It's going to probably be hard for me to put him and Bell on the same team, but I definitely will have some McCoy exposure because he's going to be extremely low owned and he could win you a tournament this weekend.
Gotcha. Gaede, are you also on the McCoy train?
Well, first of all, let me say, Joe, I appreciate your passion and enthusiasm. And
I'm a Charger fan. I'm not saying I like the Chiefs either. I hate the Chiefs. I'm just saying. I hate the Jesus Christ. They beat the Cowboys, and everybody, oh my God, they beat the fucking Cowboys.
Yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl at the lock. Yeah.
The Cowboys
I'm not on him here. I just, people that are smarter than me at doing this stuff have said for the last couple of years you don't. Now, if we're talking cash, which is mostly what I'm talking, they say you don't play anybody against Denver in cash, which for the most part is a pretty smart look on it. My thing is, I like Shady. I like what he can do, obviously, especially on DraftKings, PPR. But look at all these dudes that Denver has on defense, and anybody want to go ahead and tell me, other than Shady, who's the Bills' best offensive player?
Taylor.
Jordan Matthews.
Okay, yeah. Nobody really did,
right?
Everybody said it real quiet.
Zay Jones.
Zay Jones.
Andre Reed. Thurman Thomas.
Yo, where are you pulling these guys from, man? he's just pulling up all these.
Own this. You just own this segment, man.
I own the running backs.
That's my point though. Is Denver is so good defensively? You think they're not going to be able to take one guy out here? And I think they're going to do it. I think this game's going to end up being terrible to watch because I don't believe in Trevor Siemian at all. I think you're looking at like a 17-10 game or something like that. I just don't see it. I mean, at least in cash, you can do what you want to do.
Tournament only. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I'd play him in tournaments, honestly. But
McCoy?
That's just my take. I think that Denver's defense is too good that they can take out one player when you have no one else on that roster to worry about.
McCoy is probably my favorite running back this week. He is probably my favorite running back this week. He's going to get usage.
We'll see.
Denver was 23rd against the run last year. Like, that's why people were on Zeke. Was because it was like you don't pass on Denver, but you do run on them.
And Gordon ran well week 1. He didn't do bad.
No,
right?
He did well.
Yeah,
and that's exactly my point. Like I feel like in NFL more than any other sport, man, people have all week to overreact and soak in it, and I feel like it's the biggest perception sport out there. Like people immediately like recency bias because it's a week long, right? You had a week to stew over this and watch the tape. Oh no, I'm convinced that Zeke does not suck. It's just this Denver rush defense is all of a sudden good. That's like the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the perception out there. But like you said, Joe, we saw Melvin Gordon did whatever he wanted, and like in my opinion, I think Shady McCoy is a better running back than Melvin Gordon. I like Melvin Gordon. He's on my seasonal team. I think he's very talented. But in my opinion, I also think he's on a little bit. He has help, right? He's got a good quarterback. He's got decent offensive coordinators, things like that. Shady, in my opinion, is one of the best running backs in the league. He's going to get a ton of opportunities, and I don't see them passing the ball on Denver. I don't see them doing it. So if they're going to be competitive at all, which I do think they will be at home, I think they'll be competitive at least in the beginning. They're going to have to rest. Right, then they're going to have to solely rely on Shady. So I love Shady. Again, I agree, Slim. He's not a cash play for me. I wouldn't go to him in cash. The opportunities are there, but it is Denver. I respect them enough to not go there in cash. Because they can just kind of sit back on the run and dare them to throw. The problem is if they throw and they hit one, then they're going to have to go back to a regular defense, and then that's when I think McCoy's opportunities can open up a little bit. But
McCoy's had 6 and 7 targets in 2 games too.
Right, he's getting involved in the pass game.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Real quick, I just want to say that honestly, my opinion has nothing to do with that last game because I think it was just a fluky game. Like you said, game script. You got the lightning delay, and Dallas's game plan sucked complete ass.
Yeah.
Dallas is terrible. Their O-line's not as good as last year, and they're not as good. And Dak Prescott's gonna have the biggest sophomore slump I've ever seen.
Although Dez is going to have a good year because he's going to throw more, so he's going to get more targets.
Dez will have a good year.
I saw a stat the other day that said Dallas has thrown the ball 92% of their plays in the red zone this year. What are we doing, guys? Just hand it to the beast and let him eat, right?
Well, yeah. Well, if he's out of shape, man, that's how they win games. I mean, everybody's calling him fat or whatever. Like people on the team, they're saying he's fat. I don't know. They don't really. I saw that cereal thing, man.
He wasn't fat against the Giants, though.
No. That's a good point.
He was running hard, so.
Ooh. Paulie D's a Giant fan. I just wanted to see a reaction, but no, he was ice cold. He didn't face him. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Do we have to talk about the Giants tonight?
No, not yet. Anyway, one guy we will talk about though. The next running back, the last running back. On the Y stream, Paulie, I'm gonna ask you about for our premium show. I'm gonna ask you about your boy Christian McCaffrey because I know you tweeted something about this being like a make it or break it kind of week for you and that dude. And so that's going to be on the Y stream. We're saving that one. The guy I'm going to ask you about today is a guy that I've been hearing his name brought up a ton. Even in the chat, as soon as we opened up the chat, his name was all over the place. And I'm talking about Theo Riddick, a guy we very seldom have to talk about because he doesn't usually get that much attention. But he's getting a lot of attention. The secret's out that Atlanta struggles against pass-catching running backs. So I think everybody's kind of looking at Theo here. Patio Joe, love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Theo Huxtable. You ever watch the Cosby Show? Theo Huxtable. Anyway, yeah, Theo Riddick. I'm all over him this year. I mean, obviously in DraftKings, he's way more tempting because of the full point PPR. But I think at his price on FanDuel, I think you can play him at 5,600. Even if you just want to get some side of this game, if you're playing Ryan, it's definitely good to play Riddick. And I like Theo Riddick this week for sure. I'm playing him in my seasonal league. It's the Falcons. Their basis, their defensive strategy is just keep everything in front of you, let the running back catch it, and we'll just tackle them for 3 or 4 yards. So that means a point or half a point, and whatever yardage you get. So I like Riddick on both sides, but mostly DK.
Okay, Paulie D, Theo Riddick.
I mean, on DK, he's like decent in my opinion, but like he's not getting like hardly any carries, and I think the Lions just have too many other weapons to pass through right now. Like last year, he had a bigger season and bigger games when they had like nobody to throw to. Like Marvin Jones had gotten hurt; it was like him or Golden Tate. Ebron was out. Now like Ebron's healthy and doing work. Marvin Jones. Golden Tate. We got who's the rookie? Galladay. I expect him to bounce back against the Falcons. I just don't think. I mean, he's like an absolute fade on FanDuel to me. I don't think he'll get anywhere near the usage to pay off. And on DraftKings, I don't really see it either. Like he's got to get almost like 2 touchdowns or 8 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown to pay off. And I don't think they're gonna need that. Like I think they're gonna be winning this game and slowing things down in the second half. I don't see Theo Riddick. He's not for me.
That's the first thing I really disagree with you on so far. That's the one thing. Like I've had Riddick all year last year, and I just think he is their pass catching back.
Yes.
So there. Obviously, I think on FanDuel he really needs to score to make his value. If he doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. But
right.
if on DraftKings though. I mean, what's his price on DraftKings?
It's like
I was just gonna ask that too. I didn't see it.
Something-ish, I think. I'll tell you.
5-1.
He's 5-1. So what? So what would you want? 3x, 15 points, 20 points?
Yeah, I'd like more than 3x, but sure.
I mean, I think that that's doable. It's just you're gonna obviously scoring would really, really help, but he can do that where. I think he actually did have one red zone carry this year. I want to say that. I don't know why I believe that, but I thought I've seen that. But I think that he's definitely in play on. I can't. I'm trying to look at other guys around there. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's DraftKings only, but if you look at the guys around there, there's significantly better options right in that same price range, and like. I don't know, man. Like the only way it pays off is if they're losing by 2 touchdowns and they're trying to come back. But the Lions have a lot more weapons this year. I don't know if he pays off, dude.
Well,
all right, Gaede, what do you say?
Yeah. I want to hear Gaede's take.
Let's hear Gaede.
I mean, obviously, I'm with you guys that it's DraftKings only play here. If you're playing the Thursday slate, you're playing the whole slate. I mean, you've got Buck Allen, I think, at 5K.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take him over Riddick. I'm just worried about. I mean, I feel like when I'm watching the game the other night, they were actually talking about Amir Abdullah and how happy they are that he's there, that he's back, and he's getting all the carries. So,
and he was out last year too.
Yeah, and for me, I want guys that are playing snaps. So, and I just don't see it. I don't want somebody who's playing 50-50 snaps, and I don't know if he's going to be in the game in these situations. So I'm looking at, like I said, Thursday slate. I like Buck Allen a lot at $100 less. It looks like Terrence West might be out, so he might be the only guy there. And he's catching a bunch of passes, but I think you got Cohen might be in that same range, the 5K range.
He's a little bit above.
Yeah. Maybe a little.
Abdullah is only 4.7.
But Abdullah gets absolutely no love in the passing game. He gets absolutely no love in the red zone. So you got him in between the 20s.
Yeah, you can't play Abdullah, but you got James White, 54. You got Tevin Coleman for 53. Carlos Hyde for 52 if you're doing Thursday.
The one guy that you want, and it's all dependent. If Murray's out, you're all in on Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
That's the play.
No doubt.
It's
Isaiah Crowell for 48, Mark Ingram 45, Bilal Powell.
I mean, Crowell for 48 is good too. I think he can run against Indianapolis. But, I mean, I'm just saying, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game to where they're going to be passing more. So I think Riddick is a good play.
Yeah. No, I think it's Paulie's got the stink face on right now, bro.
I'm glad I'm not the
I'm actually mad that Hunter Renfroe didn't hit his third home run of the game.
That makes so much more sense. Yo, Paulie's face, it looked like he just smelled the worst shit ever. Like, he was just like...
Yeah.
He had 2 on. You know, he was about to hit his third of the game. I was getting pumped.
That's a quick little Paulie tilt face right there, yo. That was funny. Oh, man. All right, man. Let's go over to wide receivers now. Obviously, there's 2 guys at the top of the list. I'm going to ask you about them both at the same time. Just get it out the way. These are the top 2 studs, obviously, on the board. I want to ask you about Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. I want you to pick one. If you had to pick one of these guys, now obviously you might not play either of them. I don't know. But if you had to pick one of these guys, is it Julio Jones or Antonio Brown? Patio Joe, what you got?
AB. Going with Antonio.
Okay. Care to elaborate?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, the guy's pressed below Julio, and Antonio Brown just gets way more targets. I think his ceiling is way higher than Julio on Sunday because for some odd reason they just do not like to throw the ball to Julio in the red zone. I've watched their 2 games. I have Julio on my main seasonal team, and I mean, Antonio Brown not being the highest receiver I think is wrong, and I think that Julio has a tougher matchup anyways this week, so I'm going Antonio.
Okay, Paulie D, what about you?
Yeah, AB all day. Like
AB.
I think Slay's gonna shadow Julio, you know, so that's a knock against him. There's no one on the Bears that can guard Antonio Brown. If they decide to throw to him 10 times, he'll get 150 yards and a touchdown. You know, it's just a matter of game flow whether they're going to need to throw to AP. But, you know, I've been pretty impressed with the Lions' defense. And, you know, in that scenario between those 2, it's AP, and he's cheaper. So that's just easy.
Okay. Slim Gaede.
And Rhodes shut him down last week, right? AB, Rhodes is a good player, so he slowed him down.
Yeah.
Why am I the only one that disagrees with you guys all the time? It's getting weird.
I thought I saw a stink face on you, bro. I thought I saw a little stink twitch.
A couple things. Roethlisberger, first of all, on the road, you know, it's bad.
Right.
The Bears shut down Julio in week 1. And I know the Bears aren't good defensively, but their defensive coordinator is. I've got a lot of respect for my boy Vic Fangio. He's got 2 call-outs already on this show. You're welcome. His defense is designed to filter everything in front. Throw it in front and tackle. Throw it in front and tackle. Take away big plays. Julio did nothing against these guys week 1. Doesn't mean that Antonio can't catch 10 balls, though. I mean, because they'll take the underneath with him all day. So it's kind of a toss-up for me. A lot of it will depend on, you know, more information about Darius Slay and whether he is going to be on Julio, which if he's not, they're probably going to lose. I don't know why you wouldn't do that, but so a lot of that depends on if we can find out that information. And if he is, then it's more of a toss-up for me, but I won't be playing either one of them. So
yeah, me either.
It
doesn't matter that much to me.
I do think that makes sense, especially consider as far as not playing either of them. I think that actually makes sense, especially if people do pay down for AJ Green and guys like them. Then they're all going to kind of and there's no super high at least on FanDuel. There's no super price crippling running back like there's no DJ at 9.7 or Bell at 9.8. On FanDuel, so I can see those guys still being fairly popular, and both of these defenses have done a little something, so I definitely see the call there. All right, so I wanted to ask you guys, we got Cooper and Crabtree. I wanted you to pick one of the 2 here. We got 7,700, a game that's predicted to be somewhat of a shootout. Look, Amari Cooper is questionable with a knee, but I don't know how serious that is. So, Patio Joe, Cooper, Crabtree. They're both 7-7 on FanDuel. I don't know what they are on DraftKings.
Crabtree all day.
AD all day.
Norman's going to be on Cooper, and Cooper is the most overrated player in the NFL. So Michael Crabtree all day. He lit it up for 3 touchdowns. Nobody thought he was going to do 3 touchdowns last week. But that's how it is. I mean, Crabtree is like he is basically cash game porn. It's true. Last year, he was cash game porn. This year, he's cash game porn. So, yeah, I'm all over Crabtree over Cooper for sure. He gets more targets. He's a better athlete. He's a better player. He's probably a better human being.
Okay. Paulie D, do you also think he's a better human being?
I have no idea. Probably not, actually. Didn't he get like thrown out of like a Texas Tech game, like when he was young, like throwing a punch at a fan or some shit?
Oh, damn.
Hold on, I want to say something in the chat. Robert said Cooper doesn't get the red zone chances. That's bullshit. In game 1, they literally threw to him 3 times, 3 consecutive plays in the end zone, and he dropped all 3.
Yeah, he dropped all 3. I did see that.
Yeah. So all 3 he dropped. That piece of shit dropped all 3. Would have had more. That would have been even better.
Who said that in the chat?
Our boy Rob Kahn.
Rob, thanks for stealing my opening line, bro. You just took everything I was going to say. Thanks. Shout out.
Paula, did you have anything else?
I mean, it really comes down to who Norman's going to shadow. Yeah. You know, like we probably will have that information, and whichever one he's going to be on, the other guy's going to have a big game.
Good point. All right, Slim. Now I don't know what the hell you're going to say now, but you got to think of something.
I got something. First of all, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a Niners fan, so fuck Crabtree. I'm a little bitter because he wanted all that money and then nobody gave it to him, so he left. We weren't going to give him the money. We could use him right now too. Oh, the answer is Crabtree for sure. To me, I mean that first game was funny because coming in, I saw a lot of stats coming into week 1 about Crabtree's red zone targets versus Cooper. I think Cooper had less than 20 all of last year. Yeah. And then you could tell they were just trying to feed it to him. And like Patio said, he dropped 3 balls in a row in the end zone. And it's like, okay, to hell with this. We're just going back to the guy that we know is going to make those plays. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Crabtree. He's going to be high owned. Cash games, it's not even a question to me. You just go Crabtree and don't worry about it because everybody else is going to have him.
Yeah, the answer is Jared Cook.
Yes.
Isn't he questionable?
Yeah, but he's going to play.
Yeah,
he's going to play.
Mm-hmm. He actually has gotten a decent amount of targets. He really has, Jared Cook. He's gotten a decent amount of targets.
He's cheap.
Yeah, man.
Cheap.
I got Crabtree in my season long, so I'm hoping that the targets continue to go his way. But I do think eventually Amari Cooper. I'm wondering, man. You mentioned the drops week 1. We saw against the Jets, Crabtree had 3 touchdowns or some shit like that. Like I'm curious. I don't know if it's such a lock that Norman's gonna. They might just leave Norman on one side and just say, "Hey, just stay on this side, whichever one of these guys on that." Because like at this point, they're both like such a threat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not an easy decision to say shadow Cooper. Like, you know, they might need him to shadow Crabtree a little bit. So I do think that maybe Paulie's right. Maybe you just go with Cook, man. That's it.
I think that's interesting because Norman's always going to want the best guy, and they'll probably let him take whoever he wants. And if you just ask somebody who's their best receiver, they're going to say Cooper, right? Mm-hmm. Even though
not if you ask Joe.
No, I completely agree with Joe. I don't think he's that good. I mean, he runs pretty fast, so. I don't know. I think Norman would probably take him just because he's faster. Crabtree, like he's not that fast. He's not a tremendous athlete. So Norman will take the other guy, and then Crabtree just eat all day.
Eat all.
And go ahead and make that catch in the Super Bowl, dude. Seriously, killing me.
Hey,
was it 5 years ago? It still hurts every day.
I hear it.
That slot receiver Roberts will probably steal a touchdown.
It's true.
Yeah, no. Last year, man, he did that all the time, dude. Anytime the car was chalk, it would always be to that dude. It was just like
19 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, he likes that dude. He likes that dude in the red zone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Next guy, we're going to stay in the same game. I want to talk to you about Terrell Pryor. There was a lot of hype with Terrell Pryor coming in here with Deshaun Jackson departing from the team. Everybody knew Terrell Pryor was going to be the number one guy. We haven't, he's playing well. He's getting targets. He's getting the ball. We know he's a big playmaker. He gets a matchup here at home with Oakland. Cousins hasn't been too impressive so far this season. We did see, even though the Raiders put a beating on my Jets, the Jets were still able to score 20 points, which I thought was kind of amazing. What are our thoughts on Terrell Pryor this week, Joe?
Yeah, I think this is the week he goes off. I think that these corners are going to get beat bad at least once on a bomb to Pryor. I think that Cousins is going to throw a lot. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very much. Rob Kelly is hurt, so they're going to have to either go to the rookie Pirine or they're going to have to throw to Chris Thompson. So Pryor's biggest opponent is himself. He just deals with drops, and sometimes he looks like he still doesn't have a full grasp of being a receiver. But I really like Pryor this week. Like him in seasonal. As for cash, I don't know yet. I want to look at the other price points around his price. I think he's a good GPP option if you're stacking the game. You go Crab and Pryor, in my opinion.
Okay. Paulie D, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Pryor was probably one of my, guys who killed me the most last weekend, and I'm willing to go back to him for sure. I expect the Redskins to have to throw the ball a lot here. I think it's a good bounce-back game for Cousins. So I will be pairing him up with a receiver. If we find out that Jordan Reed's not playing, then Pryor will go up on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Reed is
point.
Playing. The Raiders are terrible against the tight end. Pryor would probably come down a tad for me.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think he's going to play.
Who, Reed? I mean, Reed. He got the broken toe. We know that, right?
Yeah, there's something else, though.
Yeah. So he got something else. I'm saying, so he has something else on top of a broken toe already.
Vaginitis.
Vaginitis of the toe? Is that what he's got? Gaede, what's your take here?
Yeah, I like him a lot for a tournament receiver. He's one of my favorite tournament plays. I think this game's going to shoot out. I agree with you guys. Redskins probably won't even try to run the ball that much, man. And it should be a shootout. It's going to be a popular game. Also a revenge game for Pryor. If you want to read that article, it's in there.
It's true. Yeah.
That's exceptional writing on that.
It is.
Yeah, I think if you watch the games, I mean, Cousins is trying to get him the ball.
Yeah.
And he's involved a lot. It's just the only thing that he's really not good at, other than throwing the ball, is catching it. But I think he's going to continue to get better, and there's going to be a game where he has 3 touchdowns. I feel like it's going to happen.
And if you look at the numbers, he had 11 targets week 1 and only 4 last week. But they had 2 rushes of 60 yards to the house in that game. So their drives were changed a bit. So I think he's going to get the attention too. If Jordan Reed's out, I think it's
they didn't have to pass last week.
Yeah,
they ran the ball for over 200 yards. It was terrible. The Rams just got ran all over.
Yeah, and we've seen some big games from Cousins, specifically at home too, right? We've seen a different type of play style at home. So I think that makes a lot of sense. There was obviously the last guy we're going to talk about, Ted Ginn. He's been disappointing so far this season, but he's going back to Carolina. He's got Drew Brees. His team is 0-2. Cam Newton is literally limping into this game. We know Brees has struggled on the road, so obviously a guy like Ted Ginn is very dependent on Drew Brees' performance. Patio Joe, what are we doing with Ted Ginn?
I am saying you can take the week off, and because if I'm playing that price, I'm paying for either Jermaine Kearse at 5,800 or Jamison Crowder at 5,700. Don't like Ginn. He is a huge, just total GPP flyer. Completely, he's going to be, dependent. He's got to catch a big ball, a big bomb. He's not going to get a lot of targets. So no, I'm not on him that much at all. I would either, like I said, if Bradford's playing, Thielen is 6,000. I mean, come on. That's criminal if Bradford's playing. So yeah, I'm off again.
Okay. Paulie?
Yeah, I don't really love him that much either. He's very, very boom bust. He's pretty much needs to catch like a 70-yard bomb. He's gotten 11 targets, 6 and 5, the first 2 games. So that's probably more than he's accustomed to. That's a little bit, makes him a little more appealing. But I don't really trust his hands, and I think New Orleans has a ton of different options in that offense. I think they'll give him a shot, but if he doesn't come down with that one play, then I don't know if he'll get another. So I don't really think he's worth it.
Okay, Gaede, what did you take on Ginn?
Yeah, I don't like the Saints at all in this one. It's just a really bad matchup. I think the Panthers defense, they haven't played great teams by any means, but they look pretty good. This is disappointing for me because I saw so much in the preseason about Ted Ginn's taking over the number 2 spot, and I'm like, that dude's going to be cheap every week with Drew Brees as his quarterback. But I just don't see it. You watched the game Sunday, you just didn't really see him out there at all. I think, what is he, like 4,100 on DraftKings? Like, I'll take that Higgins dude for Cleveland everybody's talking about, I think, at the same price. So I don't have any interest in him until I see him actually do something on the field.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Marvin Jones for 4,200.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great point. I'm also not very big on Ginn himself, but I am a little bit higher on Breeze than I think you are, Jason. When I know it's Breeze on the road, but I'm not convinced that the Panthers' pass defense is fixed. Remember last year, their secondary was terrible. They were getting torched by a lot of people. So they have not been tested. We've seen them play the 49ers, and who did they play last week? Another team with
Tyrod Taylor and
Buffalo. Buffalo. Right. And when they were at home for that game or on the road?
I think that game was in Buffalo.
It was in Buffalo?
No, it was in Carolina.
It was in Carolina. So they were at home. So exactly that. I don't know. I just think that this is going to be the first time they're going to get a decent offense. The guy I actually like, I'll hint to it. It's not actually Ginn, though. Like, I'm not big on Ginn. I just wanted to mention that I am a little bit higher on the Saints.
You like Coleman?
No, not Coleman. I think
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. He's getting the targets. He's been involved. He just hasn't really had an easy going of it. Think about it. He had Malcolm Butler. What's his name from the Patriots?
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler. Right. He had Belichick trying to take him out of the game. Literally, Belichick always goes there. Always takes out the best option. So I think he's in a pretty. I think perception is kind of down on him. People played him against. Last week, I think him and what's his name, Cooks were the 2 chalk guys that didn't really do anything from that game. So to me, it's kind of like a situation where I think perception's down on the Saints in general. And,
here's the biggest thing. Here's the biggest reason that Thomas makes a really, really interesting play this weekend. He's the same price as A.J. Green. Everybody's going to be going to him.
Yeah.
A great call.
So then that makes Thomas a perfect pivot.
That is true.
Like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm with it, guys. I'm with it. All right, let's move over to tight ends here. Gronkowski is questionable. He had a monster game against the Saints. This time he draws a matchup with Houston. We're going to talk about him because he's obviously the top option, and he was just a monster last week. Assuming that he plays, obviously, if he's not playing, then there's nothing we can do about that. But Patio Joe, thoughts on Gronk, assuming that he does play?
Nope, not playing him.
I like that. I like the sound of that.
Just not even playing him. I don't like to pay up for that. I don't want to do it. I don't even want to pay for that volatility, too. He might play, and then he did 2 plays, and vaginitis again. You know what I mean? The guy's injury prone. There's no 2 ways around it. There's 3 tight ends you really have to wonder about playing. Gronk, Reed, and Jimmy Graham. They're always hurt.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Tyler Eifert to that list.
And Eifert, now Eifert. So you got 4. So it's like, to me, it's like, why pay up for tight end? The only reason why you're going to pay up for tight end this week is to be contrarian. And there's not really a need to. Right. So that's why Gronk, no.
Okay, I'm with it. Paulie, it sounds like you're not so big on Gronk either.
No chance.
Not happening. Slim. Gronk?
Yeah, I'm out. I don't pay up for tight end ever.
Oh my God, 8,400 on FanDuel.
Yeah. This seems like the ultimate chase for if Gronk plays and people play him, that's like the ultimate chase spot. It's the guys that didn't play him last week because they played Cooks instead, and they skipped out on Gronk, and now they're like, this not happening again. I'm not missing that boat. Those are the guys that I think are gonna be playing Gronk.
Play Gronk and tell me who your running backs are.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Well,
Yeah,
Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Gronk, and then who, right?
That's it.
And then who?
Tight end this week to me, I feel like is pretty simple to figure out. There's only a few guys you're going to play, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I hear it. Let's see. We touched a little bit on Jordan Reed, but I don't really want to talk about him too much. I'd like to talk about Zach Ertz. He's done okay. He came through as week 1 chalk. Always seems to be more of a DraftKings play because of the targets, but he's priced up a little bit on FanDuel. He gets a matchup against Paulie D's Giants. Not sure what to make of the Giants. On defense, sometimes we see some really good stuff on their defense. Sometimes we don't see some great stuff. Their offense is inconsistent. Talk to me about Zach Ertz, Joe.
Okay, well, Eric Ebron has been in the league like 20 years now and scored like 2 touchdowns, and that one of them was on Monday night against these Giants. So they just do not cover the tight end very well. So I like Zach Ertz. I think if he's the highest, I think he's not bad. If I had enough to pay him up for cash, that's where I would go. I played him last week on DraftKings and cash, and he was like 1% owned. I couldn't believe it, and he did well. So he always gets the targets, and he's a focal point of that offense, especially right now because Wentz knows Ertz. He's still kind of learning, Mr. Jeffrey right now. So, yeah, I like Ertz on Sunday.
Okay. Paulie D, Ertz.
Absolutely, man. He's got 8 targets this year, the same as AJ Green, more than Julio Jones. Giants might be the worst team against the tight end. Jason Witten looked like a Hall of Famer against him week 1, and then Ebron crushed him week 2. It's his favorite target. If our secondary's totally healthy, then, I think you take the receivers out of the game for Philly. It's going to be the Ertz show all day. He's probably my easiest lock, just putting Ertz in all my lineups and moving on out of tight end.
Okay. Slim Gaede, Zach Ertz, are you for him?
I think you can just lock him in cash games and you could start with him if you want to. I mean, every week. I mean, the guy's pretty much matchup proof, just like you guys are saying. I mean, he's the guy that Wentz trusts the most. The targets are always going to be there. He catches everything. A big part of their offense. I don't care. I mean, the Giants are a good defense, but
not against the tight end.
Not against the tight ends. So, yeah, I love him. I love him every week. Just people didn't play him last week because he got jacked up on his price, but that's because he was way too low week 1. So.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it makes a lot of sense. All right, next guy, last tight end we're going to talk about here is Kyle Rudolph. Obviously, we're dependent here on Bradford, so I'm gonna speak hype. Listen, if Bradford's not playing and we have the same guy, we know to stay away from these Vikings. But if Bradford plays, he hasn't gotten the targets that we're accustomed to seeing from this guy, right? But we know every year he's usually pretty heavily involved in the offense. But we really haven't seen it so far this year. He had 3 targets in the first game. I'm sorry, he had 6 targets against 3 against New Orleans, 6 against Pittsburgh. Not exactly what we're used to from him, although he did get 1 touchdown against the Saints. Patio Joe, talk to me about Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at his price point, and there's a guy there that I can't, right around his price point, I can't get off of him. So Rudolph would be just a GPP play for me.
Okay. Paulie D?
Yeah, actually, I think Rudolph would be more in play if Bradford doesn't play. If Bradford doesn't play.
That might be a better idea.
If Bradford does play, he likes those 2 guys out wide and Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. If he's out and that kid from Houston's playing.
That's a great point.
He may rely on Rudolph a little bit more.
Yeah,
but really, at that price point on DraftKings, there's no chance. And I think he's way too touchdown dependent. And I like Tampa Bay's defense a lot, so I probably would not play him.
Gotcha. Slim?
Yeah, I'm not on him at all. It's complete touchdown dependent with him. It always has been. So, I mean, there's other guys at those prices and cheaper prices that I like. So, I'm not on him at all.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm with it. All right, so we're coming to the end. Our last thing we got to talk about is some defenses here. I'm going to ask you guys about a couple of these defenses. The first one is the Miami Dolphins going up against my New York Jets. They're pretty bad offensively. They did score 20 points against Oakland. It was kind of a garbage time from the start. Oakland got out to a quick lead, so we don't know if that was the Jets kind of putting things together a little bit, or if it was just the Raiders not really trying. Patio Joe, what do you think about Miami? Priced up at 5-1, tied with the Broncos for the most expensive defenses on the slate against the Jets.
Wow. I mean, if you're paying up that high for defense, I'm definitely liking the Dolphins over the Broncos, just because it's a divisional game, and they're back on the East Coast, and they played a really, decent Charger offense, a better Charger offense than these Jets. So yeah, I like the Dolphins. They're on the list of defenses that I like this week. There's just other ones that I like a little bit better because they're cheaper.
Yeah. Not for me, man. I think the Jets will score on them. They did hold the Chargers to whatever it was, 17 points, but I think that was kind of a fluke. I think the Chargers had a really terrible game there. And, I could see the Dolphins winning and then the Jets putting up points on them from, like garbage time wise, like they did to the Raiders. And I just don't see this Miami defense as very opportunistic. I don't see a ton of plays being made, so I'm off of them.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go. So, yeah, I'm completely off of this. I mean, I got burned on this a little bit on some of my lines last week. It's like the Jets suck, so play Oakland. And people were talking about week 1, Oakland's a good defense. Well, they haven't done anything. They haven't shown me anything. And the Jets are putting up points. They scored twice as many points as your Giants have, man. Had to take a Giants shot sometime. On DraftKings, they're 3,700, and to hell with that. If I'm going to pay 3,700, I'll go to 3,900 and go with the Ravens.
For the Patriots.
And they're more expensive than the Ravens on FanDuel, which blows my mind.
Yeah, the Ravens might not be on the main slate, though.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking at Thursday. So, yeah. And then I like the Eagles a lot, man, for a lot cheaper against your Giants. Sorry, dude, but I think the Eagles' defense is actually underpriced, and they've played pretty well in 2 games. They're pretty opportunistic. So, I'm not on all. I'm not going after them just based on matchup because I don't think that the matchup favors them that much, anyways.
Right. Yeah, man. I heard a lot of good information. I heard a little bit of Giants bashing in there along the way. And once again, Paulie is composed, and he don't care. It's just like it just doesn't face him.
Okay, you know what though? No. It's like Paulie got nothing to complain about. My team lost 2 games with this freaking Asian kicker that can't make a damn thing. Okay, that's pain. Okay,
Joe?
The Chargers have lost 11 games, like the closest 1-point games, like over the past 5 years of any other team in the NFL. Okay, pain is being a Charger fan.
Can you read my article when that comes out, and then read that specific part about your kicker, and tell me if that makes you more mad or if it makes you laugh?
Okay, I probably
because that's some cool surprise shit right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna publish it as soon as the show's over. You guys will be able to read that article.
Read that part about your Chargers, man. I didn't even know you were a Chargers fan. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy right now.
Exciting. Let's see here. Another defense I wanted to discuss with you, gentlemen. The Seattle Seahawks, again, like not as expensive as we've seen. It looks like they're somewhat respecting Tennessee a little bit, I guess, because I guess they're on the road. That's why. But we got Marcus Mariota, Seattle on the road. What do you think, Joe?
No way. I like the Titans to win this game on Sunday right now.
Ooh.
So
I like it.
And because Carlos Hyde ran all over them last week. Yeah. And I really am hoping DeMarco Murray's out because I think Derrick Henry can just run all over the Seahawks and they're going to control the game. Seahawks can't score 12 points and expect to win.
Yep.
Okay.
I completely agree. Titans are favored. The line's moving towards the Titans. I wouldn't touch a road dog defense against pretty explosive offense. I think the Titans can score on these guys. Seahawks are in trouble, so no on that team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Gaede.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, the only I'm not looking at Seattle really ever unless they're at home, but especially not right now. There's too much pressure on them because the offense is so bad. It's just you can find somebody else cheaper or within that same price range with the better matchup.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, guys, I'm going to ask you about one more defense, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to ask you about the Philadelphia Eagles against Paulie D's Giants. It's mainly because we know the Giants, one of their issues this year seems to be their offensive line. We know that the Eagles are known for their pass rush. The game's in Philly. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Yes. 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 I just think that Giants are also coming off of a short week too, and I know that the secondary of these Eagles is bad, but I mean, if you watch enough Eagles game, because obviously on the West Coast they just love showing us the NFC East like constantly, so we see the Eagles all the time, and their defense just creates turnovers, especially at home. Like weird shit happens at Philly where they just create these weird ass turnovers and stuff. I love their defense at 4,500 at home against Eli, who looks shell shocked right now. Like I'm sorry, Paulie. I'm sorry. I love them. I think they'll be the chalk. I think they're going to be the cash game chalk, and I think it's the way to go in cash.
Paulie D, or the Eagles going to fly?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There it is. The composure is gone.
Fan. Go look last year. Eli Manning had his two best games against the Eagles. He threw for over 300 yards twice, 3 touchdowns once, 2 touchdowns another time.
I read something else.
Odell Beckham destroyed them last year. Giants are going to come alive in this game, division rivalry. Eli Manning, Odell Beckham with Zach Ertz is the top stack of the week and wins all the money. Don't play the Eagles.
Ooh, Slim, I want you to get it in real quick because I think Joe's got a little something to say.
I'm finding something. Don't keep talking. I gotta find it.
I love that last take. I love it because it's just wishful thinking. This offense is so bad, man. Their offensive line is terrible. He has no chance. Eric Flowers is the worst left tackle on the planet right now. And the Eagles, they're good up front. They don't have anybody that you really talk about individually. But they're pretty good, man, and they ate the Chiefs up front. I watched that whole game, and the Chiefs couldn't move them. And their offensive line's definitely better. What I do Monday night, I'm watching the game, and I'm starting to think about next week, like, who do I like? So I start defense. That's pretty easy. Who do I like? The very first team that came to mind for me was the Eagles. As I'm watching the Giants debacle, like, I'm going Eagles, and then I see DK, I see FanDuel, and to even find them, I'm scrolling down my where are they at? I mean, they're so cheap.
That's another thing. 4,500
so cheap on both sides. Considering the matchup, you can start your lineup there. Start your main lineup. Put the Eagles in. DK, FanDuel, doesn't matter. Go from there.
Okay, right here. I'm reading this from NFL.com. This is from the guy Start 'em and Sit 'em. Eli Manning. In his last 4 games in Philly, Manning has averaged 235 yards with 2 touchdown passes, 5 picks, and 2 fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
So, ouch.
Okay, but last year, the last game against Philly, he went 23 of 39, 289 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. It was at home, but it's a 31-38 game. I've been a Giants fan my whole life. The Giants always do terrible in games you think they're going to do good, and they always show up in games you think they're going to do bad. This is a prime Giant spot. Trust me on this.
I thought they were going to do shitty on Monday.
I had all my money on the Lions, man.
Damn, the Giant hate is real, bro. I got nothing against the Giants, man. I got nothing against them.
No, dude, I don't. I'm just saying, like, to me, I feel like the offensive line issue is enough. And it's not, if the Eagles defense was 5,000, then it's a different issue. Yeah. But it's 4,500. And trying to find another defense in that area, I just don't see anybody that I'm more confident with. I guess we've seen, other defenses put up great performances when they're at home, but who else down at the bottom are you going to really, really like? The Bills against Denver, maybe?
That's a great leverage play for tournaments, but not for cash.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
I think the Bills are a great leverage play for tournaments because I think people are actually believing that maybe Simeon is a little bit better than he might be. And maybe Simeon has gotten better. I don't believe he's the next John Elway, though. So I think the Bills, only because you mentioned it. But see, I see in my head what you guys are seeing, right? I'm seeing the Eagles known for their pass rush, Giants offensive line terrible, Eli under pressure, turnover. However, depending on how healthy Odell is, I can also see Eli just saying "fuck it" and just throwing something up, and that's kind of where you want Odell because I don't have too much faith in the Eagles' corners themselves. Again, I think their defensive line is what creates a lot of their turnovers. So the question is, if Eli can manage to navigate or just get the ball up, if they can find the single coverage between Brandon Marshall, between Sterling Shepard, who I'm really high on, I was high on him out of college, and now if Odell Beckham's healthy, him. Because we saw him with a very light workload on Monday. That's one thing we have to admit. Now, they are on short rest, so maybe he's not that much better. But he looked okay from what we saw, but you can see they really weren't trying to use him that much. So I'm kind of on the fence there. Like as of right now, if the Eagles are going to be chalk, I would go somewhere else. Like on week 1 when everybody was on the Rams, I forgot who I went. I went with some other defense. They did really well. They had like 20-something points. No.
The Ravens.
No, it wasn't either of them. I can't think of who it is. But last week I played Tampa, which I think was more of the...
you went Jacksonville week.
Jacksonville, there you go. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville. Shout out to Cash and DFS. But, so... I feel like I could find it somewhere else, and if I know the Eagles are going to be chalk, then I get worried. Because the chalk defense has kind of hit 2 weeks in a row. But that's kind of rare. It doesn't usually hit like that. Like, maybe look at 10 points, right? But it's rare that they're the defense you have to have. And, like, the Rams, week 1, we kind of saw it. Tampa last week, they were somewhat chalky. Like, they weren't, like, super, you know what I'm saying?
Tampa wasn't that chalky.
No? I had Tampa. I had
so
Tampa.
did I, but sure. I'm trying to think. Like, I want to go back and I want to see the
I just assumed that they were because Chicago. I don't see how they weren't against Chicago.
They were the chalk defenses were like the Raiders, Baltimore. Pittsburgh. Once Bradford was out, people went on to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I could see that pivot. That probably lowered some ownership because I'm just saying like I'm sure you guys are right. I'm sure they weren't popular, but like when I think about it, the reason I assume that they were. Is because it was like it's the Bears and like Mike Lennon on the road. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just seemed like to me, I felt like they would be. So I'm actually surprised. I didn't really check, but hey guys, this was fun, man. I appreciate the format was cool. I thought it went well. We had some good conversation. I like this new format where we just pick a few guys that we know are going to be kind of hot topics of the week and just kind of talk about them. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man. You get the real takes on the Wise stream on Saturday.
That's it. Saturday, those of you who are members, we're going to get you some sort of something from Joe. Joe's not going to be on the Wise stream this Saturday. We will have Josh, a.k.a. Cash and DFS. We'll have Paulie D. We'll have myself. May have a fourth, as I look at Gaede. But we don't know for sure what the schedule is. But we'll see what that. But that's going to be for members only. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper, and Joe's going to send us we're going to try to record a separate video for Joe to kind of dive in on his own, pre-recorded. We'll have that on the site. Again, that's all for anyone who's subscribed to the NFL package over at wisetake.com. By the way, use promo code Facebook and save 10% off of your monthly subscriptions. Anyway, if you're watching this video, please click that thumbs up. That like button means a lot to us. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on Podbean, give us a follow. If you're listening on iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Go over there. Bump us up those charts. It means a lot to us. And that's pretty much it, guys. So, for Patio Joe, for my man Paulie D, for the one and only Slim Gaede, and the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.